we have to create the right vibe, you know, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at PurelyArsenalFP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to another episode of a Purely Arsenal podcast. We're going to review the Leicester game and preview Liverpool game. It's the first time we've been live, well not live, but on YouTube, and I've got Neil Shah with me. How you doing, Neil?
I'm good. I've got my Emmanuel Petit little 14 there, look. 17 or whatever it is. There you go. There, look.
It's beautiful. Stunning.
This is surreal, but happy to see all of your lovely, beautiful, sexy faces.
Yeah, we had no idea what each other looked like until about 5 minutes ago, did we? So
yeah,
fantastic.
First time.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Also got Chief Editor, Anthony Palm. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm great, Jack. I'm sitting in my new Arsenal home shirt. This is like my first like quote unquote like real shirt. You know what I mean? Like I've had like I got one on clearance at Sports Authority. So this is like my first real shirt. I got Aubameyang just to celebrate that our captain stayed. So
love it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me as always. I always get real excited when you guys actually have me on the pod because I'm not on all the time. So.
Apologies.
And if I'm quiet at all and like you need me to talk, just nudge me because sometimes it's like surreal because I'm used to just listening to the podcast or editing the podcast, and so sometimes when you guys are talking, it's almost like I zone out because I think I'm just listening to it. So
I zone out when Neil talks as well. Welcome, Michael Harris. How you doing, Mike?
Hello, Jack. How's everyone? It's like a game show with all the, who's going to get knocked out or something like that. Who am I going to go for? When I get the question right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jeopardy. Let's do it. Good to have you, Mike. And I've also got James, hair and all. James, how you doing, James Johnstone?
Yeah, before anybody asks, Guendouzi hasn't let himself go. It's me. Very good. No, I know he's been out for a long time. He hasn't. Yeah, it's me. It's not Guendouzi. Don't get too excited.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm selling you by the end of this podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm not brave enough to do a perm. I think if I did it, I'd probably like it, and I wouldn't want to get rid of it. So,
all right,
this is enough to maintain as it is.
It looks beautiful. You wouldn't be able to deal with the summer heat over here, but it looks beautiful. But boys, let's talk about. I mean, it's a couple of days ago. But let's talk about the Leicester game first a little bit. There's obviously some transfer rumours that are coming out that I think we want to touch on briefly before Neil gets too annoyed with them. But let's talk a little bit about the Leicester review. Obviously, we're through to the fourth round, 2-0 win. Let's go to Mike first and have a little chat about it. We made 7 changes, Mike. Leicester made 11 changes. Overall, good result, good performance. What was your thoughts on the game overall?
Yeah, talking about it, obviously the last pod, I wasn't really too fussed with it. Obviously, I'm happy with. Obviously, that didn't mean I didn't want Arsenal to win the game. Just happy to see that we put out, a fairly strong side. Especially the bench was totally loaded, which obviously showed you that Arteta was taking it seriously. But I like the fact that, after the first 10, 15 minutes, we're generally in control of the game. Obviously you can pick things apart, especially things, people, as they do, like to dig out certain of our players. Willock seemed to get a bit of it, which was unfortunate. But I think generally people like David Luiz, who looked really, really solid, coming back, obviously considering that's his first game, his first start. But no, I was generally happy with the way we controlled the game, especially in the second half, the way Pepe sort of came into it as well. You probably think against the guy he was up against, the young guy, he was probably going to maybe show a little bit more conviction, a bit, but he did towards the end of the game, and obviously he featured in the one of the goals. So happy that again the momentum is still going. We were pretty hard to break down as well, which in certain places you could see everyone was defending. You could hear Arteta again really on it. Maitland-Niles really on Eddie, screaming in his name. So yeah, it was good. It just adds. It's another win. It gets the winning mentality going. Still, the feeling of winning. So yeah, happy with it, and where it takes us towards, obviously, to the big one on Monday.
Yeah, massive game on Monday, and it's a great result. It was always going to be a tricky fixture. I thought we controlled the game. I was the most, maybe it was because it was the Carabao Cup, James, but I was the most calm about the game. I felt like we were in control, even though we didn't score in the first half, and we should have scored in the first half, and we didn't. And I thought we controlled it. A couple of things on the lineup, James. What were your thoughts on, obviously, Luiz coming back in? I thought he looked stellar, looked like he hadn't been away, to be honest. Like, that experience is really vital when you miss it. What was your thoughts of Willock in a 2? And also Reiss Nelson as well? Touch on him a little bit, because a lot of rumours coming from Reiss Nelson about 24. I think it was not necessarily a coincidence that the rumours come out 24 hours before the game. I get a feeling sometimes the club's involved in this. And then Reiss Nelson goes and puts in his best performance maybe in 6 months to a year. Which I always have this feeling in the back of my mind that Mikel Arteta is always trying to get the most out of each player at the moment. He's always trying to motivate players at the moment. You saw with Niles stuff come out, and then suddenly Niles is playing unbelievable. And he's always, his focus is always thinking about the next game, and that's the most vital thing. We talk about transfers and players in and out and all that sort of stuff. What were your thoughts of those two players, James?
Yeah, so I was very impressed with David Luiz. Even from the point of view of a captain, we're obviously over here on the official stream. I wasn't expecting crowd noise. I mean, the commentator that was doing it, it sounded like he was doing it from home. You could hear his dog bark at one stage. I think he just ran in the room or something. It was quite surreal. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, come on, mate, this is a professional broadcast. So yeah, obviously he had issues working from home, but no, it was totally fine. No, I thought David Luiz was brilliant. There was the scary moment that you're probably going to touch on later on, so I won't jump the gun there. But no, he managed to shake that off and play well. And then Reiss Nelson, like you said, for me, I thought he was really improving towards the end of last season, because I had a lot of questions about the guy, because he's very, very talked up. But I always said, like, me personally, in an Arsenal shirt, I haven't fully seen it. And I want to see, because I know he's got that ceiling, because I've seen him do it in the Bundesliga when he had those small run of games before his injury. And I've seen him do it at England under-21 level as well. So I know what he can do, but I've just not seen it replicated when he puts on, the red and white or whatever. I know we're wearing the new white one the other day, but whatever Arsenal shirt he's got on, I want to see him perform in the Arsenal shirt. And it come across to me as he sort of knows the writing's on the wall here, that maybe I might not get the chances that I need because of Pepe, and obviously Willian's in the forefront now. And also he was playing on the left, and he's normally on the right hand side, isn't he? But I thought he adjusted to that well. And like you said, first half he was arguably the best player attacking wise, along with Saka.
Yeah, I agree with all that, to be honest. I thought he was really good, really positive on the ball. Had a great shot, didn't he? Just went over the bar, hit the top of the net. He was always looking for the ball, always showing. He wasn't hiding. He looked like he had a point to prove. I think there's been mutterings. James Benn spoke to him in the summer, and he was really adamant that he wanted to stay at the club and not be loaned out. Neil, just go to you on the youngsters. Obviously, you're a big proponent on youngsters, and Neil flying his camera in and out. You're a big proponent on the youngsters, though, and obviously we played a lot of them in this game. Saka, Niles, you could consider a youngster now becoming a more senior player, Joe Willock, Reiss Nelson, to name a few. What were your thoughts on them, and what are your overall thoughts on the youngsters in terms of obviously transfer windows coming up in the end? If you were to say, do you think we should loan one or two out, or would you rather keep all of them? Where would you sit on that, and what do you think this performance has done for some of them?
Talking about keeping, for the start with, I think we're going to be overloaded with players, and my worry is that you don't give these players a chance to feature, because we have got quite a hefty squad. I know that Arsenal are trying to sell, or the rumours are they're trying to offload a few players, but even if we do get rid of 3 or 4, we still got a very big squad, and my worry is that they're not going to get the chances that that they may deserve, especially if we do. I mean, I'm singing that we're going to win the quad, but if we do, come out of maybe one of the 2 of the cup competitions, they're going to struggle to get chances, because we've got such a good, I think, first 16 or at least 17 players now that are solid, and are they going to get a chance really to show what they can do? So. My thoughts are, I mean, if we take 3 or 4 examples, I mean, I'd love to see Niles stay. I think Niles is quality. I think he just seems to, for me, to get better and better each time I see him, and I like that he could potentially play on both sides. And I know that his attitude has changed a lot. So for me, Niles is essential. Obviously, Saka speaks for himself. He's first team regularly, done so well again. And I think he was man of the match, I believe, in the game. So it then boils down to people like Emile Smith-Rowe, Willock, Nelson. Nelson, I'm 50-50 on. I'm not sure. There's part of me that thinks he's not going to get much of a chance. You got Pepe, you got Willian. How much chance is he going to get breaking into the first team? Is he going to come on as, like you suggested before, Jack, in the past? Where is he going to get a chance coming on as a substitute in some of the games? But I can't see him starting in a lot of at least the Premiership games, maybe even the FA Cup games. I don't know. So again, I worry about him and his development. But for me, if you were to push me to the corner and say who would you really think that should go, I'd say Willock. Unfortunately, I think for me, I don't know if others see it differently, but out of all the youngsters, for me, he's not the one that's been doing it or hasn't really taken his chance as well as some of the others have. And I just feel that if anyone needs a loan, maybe someone like him does, to see how he gets on elsewhere and get some more game time. Because maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs a lot of game time, but he has had his chances, to be fair. Emile Smith-Rowe, I want to see him play. I was saying that last season in the pods. I think he's got something very special about him. My only worry, and I'm sure yours is as well, is his injuries. You know, we want to see him have a good few months at least where he can have a chance to show what he can do. And I think he could be a very devastating and a future prospect that could do very well for us. So Willock would be my choice if there was anyone to choose from. I mean, there are obviously others, but the ones that sort of do feature now and again in the team. And I thought, to be honest, I found it. I did struggle. I mean, Michael was kind enough to send me a link for the stream, but I was having to watch it on my phone, so it's very difficult to gauge the game from that. But I thought Saka was outstanding as usual. I mean, the creativity that he shows is incredible. In any attack, and he's tireless, isn't he? He just puts everything into his performances. I thought Nelson did well. He'd had a good couple of chances. He had that nice shot that just went over the bar, which he created. So I thought Nelson had one of his better games. Again, I thought Willock was 50-50. I'm not so sure, but I just think that. For me, the worry is, are they going to get the chances they deserve? Is it going to curtail them if they stay with the club? I think we do need to loan 2 or 3 of those guys out and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, I agree.
Go on,
James.
The Europa League and the UEFA competitions announced today that they're still allowing the 5 subs. So I'm thinking with the early group stage, which we seem to fly through, it's when we get to like the knockout bit that we worry. But as far as the group stage goes, I think maybe he might look at it and go, the Lacazettes and the Aubameyangs, I'll keep them in reserve if it gets really, really bad. But that's maybe Nelson's and the like of them will come into those games. So I think like you said, 1 or 2 have to be out on loan. I think it might not. It's weird because it's one of those where I don't think a club would look at Willock and go, he's the kind of one I want. Whereas if we're trying to buy somebody, and there's a lot of rumours still about the Zaha with money and Nelson on loan, not Nelson sold, but money and Nelson on loan. So I think you could use Nelson more as sort of a makeshift in another deal, if that's something we're looking into. I mean, you want to touch on transfers later on, but I did just want to say in terms of the chances, Are you talking about like a sale for Nelson? Is that what you mean? Like if we're trying to... Yeah, I mean, Nelson is someone that you could swap because I think clubs would look at him and go, yeah, we'll take what I put on him.
A lot of people are against... I'm glad you brought it up because a lot of people are, the big on, especially players like Nelson and Saka and Willock that have come through the club from youth level, from 7, 8 years of old. And I understand it. A lot of people are, reluctant to say, well, we can't sell these youngsters because, we've got to blood these through the first team. It's what Arsenal's all about. We've done it for years and years. And I tend to agree with that to a certain degree. But, I also think it's a success when you get an Alex Iwobi, for example, that never really made it at Arsenal, but had sort of 50, 60 Premiership games, and then you go ahead and sell him for a 30 million, 35 million fee. Obviously, that's a little bit higher than what we would expect now for that type of player with post-pandemic and everything like that. But I also see that as a success, right? And if your goal, and it really seems like Arteta's goal is to improve this first team and get us competing back into the Champions League stages. I personally wouldn't be against that. I'm not sure Nelson would be. I see Nelson being more. Like you, I see him being more required, and other league clubs maybe looking at him going, yeah, I could really use a player like that out wide. But I wouldn't necessarily be against it. But then it's all about, do you sell the right player? Don't sell a player that has the potential to really, really reach it at Arsenal. And there's an argument there: is do we know that yet with Nelson? For Nelson, I've always said with Nelson, he has very little 90-minute games in his legs. Like even at Hoffenheim. When did he start? I think he started like half a dozen games. So for me, I wouldn't be against loaning Nelson just to get him at a place that will give him 90 minutes once a week. And I think if you give 90 minutes to Nelson once a week, in 6 months, you might be looking at a completely different player. I really do think that. Because at Hoffenheim, it was very strange. He'd come on, score, he'd be on the bench the next game. Come on, score, be on the bench the next game. It was very strange, wasn't it? And if you remember when Arteta first started him, he got exhausted after 45, 50 minutes. He couldn't walk like a Wobie used to. And he just cries out to me a player that needs games. But I want to bring Anthony in as well. A couple of players that we haven't touched on yet. We'll go back to the Willock situation maybe a little bit. But Mohamed Elneny, I thought he was terrific in this game, Anthony. And the more I watch Mohamed Elneny, the more I don't want to watch someone that's erratic and chaotic like Matteo Guendouzi. And I know I'm going to get pelters from Guendouzi fans that say he's got the potential to be world class and all this sort of stuff. But he just looks so much more coachable. And what we notice with Willock, Willock is different he doesn't really sit in a 2. He never really plays in that 2. And you noticed early on from Willock, although I didn't feel he was involved, he pushed him forward constantly. But what's your thoughts on Elneny, Anthony? I think he could be a really decent squad player. And I wouldn't have said this a month ago, but I really do. I've watched him and reminded myself of it.
Yeah, I think we might have talked about this the last show that I was on. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm with you. I think he's an excellent squad player. He doesn't seem to complain about minutes if he's not starting. He slots right in and he plays his balls off anytime he does start. So I'm fine with him. I mean, I don't want him to be our first or maybe even second option. But yeah, I mean, he is costing us a lot though, right?
No, he's not. I mean, he's 55 grand a week.
Okay, that's not too bad then. Okay,
for us, that's decent. When you see little crazy
exactly,
wages. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with him. I think he could have easily came back from that loan spell last season and just been, had his head down and depressed and complained about wages or complained about minutes or whatever. And it seems like he had zero of that. It seems like he just came right in. I don't know what kind of pixie dust Arteta blew at him, but he just slotted right in like he was here all last season. And I mean, like I said, he's not my first, second, maybe not even third option. But the fact that he seems to just want to play for us, that alone makes me, endears him to me. I'm good with Elneny.
Yeah, I agree. I think a slot in. Go on, Mike.
I was just going to say, on the podcast, on the actual intro, you've got the Arteta talking about everyone needs to, believe that it's a privilege to be here at this club. And I think Elneny plays like someone who, every time he puts an Arsenal shirt on, it is a privilege for him to represent this club. He realises that, and you see that in his performance. He gives 100% every time. Sometimes it doesn't come up for him, but he does seem like a guy who's genuinely humbled to be playing for this club. So, I'm happy with him. If he's got that mentality, who's going to come in and do a job when required, why get rid? Why get rid of someone like that when you have others who don't want to buy into the process? Yeah,
exactly. And we'll get on to the Ozil and Guendouzi mission as we end the Leicester segment. But Mike, I'll stick with you actually. Sorry, James, go on. You want to come in?
No, I just want to say on Elneny as well. He got that early booking, and you saw how Maddison and all them were acting. And that referee was like someone at the bloody Hacienda, weren't he, with that whistle in the 90s, like in the rave. He was blowing for every bloody thing. And, I thought Elneny's discipline after he got that booking was superb. That's what impressed me the most, because I thought, Maddison's got you now. He's like he did with Niles, when he got tricked Niles into getting sent off there. Was it 2-6? No, it was Was it one of the last? Was it the? No, it was the season before the last.
He's a bit of a diving little so and so, isn't he, James Maddison?
I would love him if he played for Arsenal. I'd absolutely adore him.
Yeah, he's one of those players. Yep, he plays for us. You love him, and you hate him on every other.
Yeah, absolute pantomime villain. But
yeah, absolutely.
No, that's all I wanted to say on Elneny. I thought he was class. But
yeah, I did. It was a bad tackle. In fair, I thought the ref was terrible, by the way. But it was a dodgy tackle. It was late. You're right. He really, he showed his professionalism. I
think he knows. I think he knows his limitations, and I think he just knows I'm in here just theoretically to work hard. Yeah, and he does it.
And I think that goes back to what Jack said about the coachability thing too. I think that he's probably one of the most coachable players we have, where he's not going to, and kind of like what Arteta's done with Xhaka, maybe not, as an extreme, but that he's not doing, like you said, he's not doing more than what's asked of him. And I think that's why that's why we look at him as such an improved player, because he's not, because when did we buy him? 2017?
It was a little bit earlier, I think. It might be because I'm sure there was an overlap with Arteta. God. I'm sure there was. I'm sure maybe they didn't play together. I'm sure they were on the same squad together at some point. So it must have been a little bit earlier.
Didn't we talk about this? I thought we did. I think he might have been on the same squad as Arteta. But I just seem to remember when Elneny first came in, he was not as extreme as Guendouzi, but kind of erratic, kind of scrambling around, not really knowing. Like he looked like a chicken without a head, and you can kind of see the improvement in the player, where he looks, he looks more calm, and James, like you said, I didn't even really think about that, but I guess I did kind of like notice it subconsciously that he was way more disciplined after that yellow.
Yeah, he came in 2016, so a year earlier. But go on, Jim.
I think because all of us here have obviously watched Arsenal for a very long time, and we've been blessed with such decent set. Obviously not in the most recent of times, but we've been blessed with all these centre midfielders that, for want of a better word, have been so world class and brilliant. And everyone just expects, I'm like, well, this ain't a guy that's going to get you 7 assists in one game, or he's going to, take on 6 or 7 players and then curl it into the top. It's like, what do you want? Because you get some of them that are like, oh, they've got no passion for the shirt. They don't try hard. I'm like, this guy works hard and people are still calling him shit. It's like, what do you want? I'm like, we didn't concede. He played really well, and at the Community Shield played really well against the champions. I'm like, Fulham plays really well again. I'm like, what does he have to do? I'm like, okay, he might not be the most fashionable person in the world. He might, if he was called Elneny Dinio, people would probably think he was amazing, wouldn't they? But it winds me up. It's like, Liverpool with Henderson. Everyone knows Jordan Henderson isn't world class. But he won Player of the Season last year because he works hard, covers his ground, and he pulls people through. And okay, maybe Elneny isn't that leader like Henderson is for Liverpool, but he works his arse off. That's what he needs to do, and we win. I just think it's annoying. I just think people just love to. We love a scapegoat at Arsenal, but I'm telling you now, there's players that are worse than him that should be called out and don't.
Yeah. No, he does everything. I mean, we signed him for $6 million in 2016. There was an overlap for about 6 months with Mikel Arteta, so I wasn't forgetting it. But I agree. I think he knows how to. He's very professional, very mature, knows how to sit in his position. If we change the formation and we go to this more expansive 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, it would be interesting to see how he would adapt to that, where he needs to maybe progress the game more. But in terms of the way he sits those midfield two, he's actually the perfect slot in for either player, I think. Like, you remove one of those players due to injury, right now I'm saying, just chuck Elneny in there and nothing really changes in my eyes. Do you know what I mean? So, Anthony,
and just one last quick thing and then we can move on is I just want to remind people, we were almost surprised he was dropped the other week. So, I mean, I just want to remind people, like, that's how decent he was playing. So,
Yeah, no, he did well in those first two games. He did well in those first two games. I agree with you. A couple of other players, obviously, the first goal, Mike, in the second half, Pepe. I felt Pepe grew into the game. I think, Mike, you said the same thing. I felt like he started quite quiet. I thought he was almost trying too hard, because we know he's been pushed out of the first team by Willian. I think we'll get onto the Liverpool game and talk about what we need. I personally feel we really need Pepe for that Liverpool game. That's my personal opinion. But I felt he really grew into the game in the second half, and he got his his just rewards with a goal. I don't think Eddie was that happy with him, though, Mike.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. It's funny because there's a few. Again, I think I watched the link. Where I was watching the game, there was no crowd noise either. So, like James, could hear everything. Could hear all the conversations going on. And Pepe, in the second half, the latter part of the second half, he was literally screaming his head off for the ball. It just opened so many times, and they were just going the other way. Just kept going the other way, and because his confidence was up, he had his guy on toast basically. So he just wanted the ball, and he's just growing into the game. Just didn't grow into it a bit sooner, maybe in the first half, but no, I totally see where you're talking about of what he did last season against Liverpool. At Anfield, it was his first start, wasn't it, for us? And roasted Robertson, left Van Dijk for dead as well. And then he had that golden chance where he literally scuffed it. And there's just no conviction in the effort whatsoever. And I was like, Christ, what you do, just put your foot through it. Put your foot through it, then we won't argue. If he comes off the keeper or whatever, we won't worry. But the way he took it, we just thought, okay. So I totally get it that on Monday, you put him on Robertson, but we'll probably talk about it later. I'm not sure if Arteta will go that way, but it was good to see Pepe have a confident game. And someone was saying on Twitter that he looks like he's bulked out a little bit, but I didn't really see that. He looks like he's put a little bit of weight on. There was an instance where he held someone off, but I didn't see that. But no, he got involved in the goal. He got an assist of sorts. So yeah, if he's fit and he's firing, then obviously he's going to be another good option to have the latter stages of the game on Monday as well. If it's going to be tight.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people made a big deal of Eddie's reaction as well, and that's a goal scorer's reaction. I mean, I don't get annoyed with that. It's just a goal scorer's reaction. But I watched it again and again. I'm not sure what Pepe could have done more. I think first time he tries to get the ball over to you. Yeah. He is very one-footed, in fairness, Pepe, which is fine. I mean, so is Leo Messi, but you've got to be able to use it at some point, haven't you?
He seemed to take it well anyway as well from Pepe when he saw Eddie kicking off, and then he sort of put his hand up and he had a little chuckle to himself. And there's a nice picture, I don't know if you saw, if you see it on Twitter, where Pepe's looking back on the three Leicester players. Look, you've got the goalkeeper, I think Wes Morgan, on the floor, and he's looking at him. He's got a little cheeky smile. I thought, that's lovely. That's lovely. So yeah, he seems like a very jovial sort of guy, very easygoing guy. So we don't want Eddie getting in another punch up, do we, with one of our players, do we?
No, I know. He's looking like a feisty. I always said that even last season, he's a little bit feisty on the pitch against the opponents as well, Eddie. He leaves his foot in a little bit. Remember against the goalkeeper last season, he kind of ran through him. He leaves it in a little bit. I like that, though. Ian Wright had all of that, didn't he? Remember his issues with Schmeichel when he needed to be, he'd get his...
I hated Schmeichel.
He hated Schmeichel. Yeah, now they talk on the BBC like nothing happened, don't they? Fantastic. But always interesting, that one. But just some comments from Arteta today that came out about Pepe were very positive, I thought, as well. I don't know if you got a chance to read those comments. I'm just trying to grab them on my phone real quick. Yeah, he said, I think he's come a long way. We know what the club paid. It's extra pressure on him. But he said he's coming into a different style. He has a great attitude. You see how he develops in phases of the game. He's very settled. All the boys really like him. And he thinks he's going to be a great player for years to come for us. So that's really and he wasn't to be drawn on if he was going to start Willian either. They spoke about that on the right side, and I think that's one position we'll get to, because I'm very curious. I think there's three options there, that maybe even four if you talk about Nelson, but I think there's really three options there, and I don't know which one he's going to pick, to be honest, when it comes to the Liverpool game. But I personally would go with Pepe. But Neil, just going back to the game, obviously Pepe created that, and then I think it was Fuchs that ended up putting it into his back of his own net. But it was a goal that we massively deserved, to be honest. And then after that, it never really... They did have one chance for Aouar Perez, which was a free header, which wasn't great defending, to be honest. Just before we touch on Eddie Nketiah and on your thoughts on him, Neil, what were your thoughts on Bern Leno? I thought he did better in this game in terms of his shot stopping. Great save early on after about a minute with his feet. I still have the same sort of nervy issues when balls are flown in above his head, to be honest. And if I'm Liverpool, I'm looking at him and I'm going, whip balls in over his head like all day. And I think we said it on the last podcast, I don't remember feeling this nervous about balls coming into Leno before he got injured. I don't remember it. So my hope is it's rustiness. Do you know what I mean? But what's your thoughts in over the last two games, Neil? Leno?
I think we've been spoilt with the brilliance of Martinez, and I think you just expect, because Leno was so good before he got injured, so good, and I think you just expect him to slot in straight, be a complete straight substitute, maybe do even better than Martinez, because obviously Arteta has chosen him to be his number one. It doesn't work that way. He's come back from injury. He's been out for a long time. He's watched someone do so well in his place, so he's got that added pressure on him. And I think also, he's just got to get used to the defenders in front of him as well. They've got to get that communication and that telepathy. How do you say that word? Telepathy going between them, and just that instinctiveness. And I think that's an important issue. So once he's got comfortable with being there, being the number one, being the main goalkeeper, being able to command his defence and vice versa as well, I think we'll see him slot into shape very, very quickly. I've got no worries about him, Jack. I know that for me, he has been rusty. I, like you, have been a little bit worried. I think the thing is with Martinez, he was just so unreal. He just caught everything, didn't he? Everything that went above him, maybe anything that went near him, he seemed to know where to position himself. He seemed to know when to come, when not to come, to grab the ball. And every time he did get it, no matter what position the ball was entering his hands, it just stick to him like glue. So we've been spoiled. And I just think that given time, we will see Leno acclimatise and get back to his best and do what he was doing before he got injured. So I don't have any worries. I just think that maybe for the Liverpool game, I think the only worry is his presence. I think James has touched on it a few times. He hasn't got the height that Martinez has. He doesn't seem to have the build that Martinez has. So that's where you've got the quality defenders that we've got now in Gabriel. Luiz is doing ever so well. Holding, I suspect, will feature against Liverpool. Those three defenders with their builds, and they're physically powerful. They've got to help him out, and maybe they'll complement his lack of it, I guess, for that game. So I don't have any worries. I think we'll see the best of him very, very soon. He's just got to give him time. So I'm not too worried. And Nketiah, I wasn't as keen as James was with Nketiah, but he's growing on me big time. He really is. I liked his reaction when he didn't get the pass from Pepe. And you're right, Pepe couldn't have done anything more. But I love that. I love that in players. I want to see that fight, that enthusiasm. I don't want to see niceness anymore in our team. I've said before, I want our team to be a team to be feared. And I want them to be looking into the whites of their opponent's eyes, saying, you ain't beating us today. You are not scoring against us, and we're going to be scoring against you. And we're not taking no shit. And I want them to be that way with each other. On the pitch, you have to be that way. You can be the best of friends off it. As soon as that whistle blows, cuddle, kiss, whatever you want to do. But on the pitch, you fight like warriors. And I liked that reaction from him. And, he had another chance, didn't he, where he lobbed the keeper. And that was just unlucky. It was cleared off the line. I think he's got that goal instinct about him. He knows where the goal is. He'll be a fox in the box. He can score good goals. I think he's a great addition to our squad. And I don't know how Arteta's going to manage it when Martinelli's fit, because you know me, I want Martinelli there. He's got to be there. And I don't know how he's going to manage it with him. If Laka starts playing really well, it's going to be really interesting for me. So, but don't worry about Leno's son. No,
I won't worry. I just got a little bit nervy, but I thought he improved in this game. To be honest, I thought he looked more comfortable, some good saves, and just those crosses. I mean, I put it to the 2 points. The Ceballos incident against West Ham, where he almost broke his neck, but then he did the same thing here over Luiz, almost broke Luiz's neck. Yeah, and when it happens consistently like that, I just get a little bit worried. But like you said, it's early days. It's not cost us as such yet. Obviously, it's a big test going away to Anfield twice in 4 days. So for everyone, not just him. But let's see. But I agree with you on Eddie Nketiah as well. I'm starting to like him. I love his work rate. I love his work, like just endless work rate, non-stop running. And he wants that goal. He's like Ian Wright in that sense. He's happier when he's got his goal. You see how delighted he was at the end there, James. Let's go to you. Obviously, you're a big Eddie Nketiah fan. But talk about Bellerin as well. But came on, only had 9 touches of the ball, by the way, but only on for 3 minutes. But made a huge, shouldn't pull his shorts up ever. But other than that, brilliant contribution. And I think we are starting to see a lot more from Bellerin as well. So touch on those two, mate.
Yeah, Eddie's class. Like, people are vinegar stroking over their Timo Werners and they're this one and they're that one. you want to see a proper finisher, you come to Arsenal. Well, you can't at the moment, but you get your feed, or all the games are going to be back on the telly. You sit and watch Eddie Nketiah, because that's a finisher. That's a proper finisher. And I mean, we talked a couple of pods ago about the top fives. He's not in my top five yet. Don't worry, I haven't jumped the gun. But we said about Eduardo. I don't even think he's on that Eduardo level, but he is potent in front of goal. And also, like you said earlier, he wants it. He wants. When have you had an Arsenal striker? Like, sometimes we've sat there, Aubameyang's got it, but even Lacazette to some extent, you're like, mate, be a bit more selfish. Just be a bit more go for yourself. Like, we need to win. Like, don't try and stroke it around and all this. Be more selfish. But Bellerin, amazing little cameo. I think he's gonna start on Monday. I think he's got a big job to do on Monday, and I think he'll do it. I don't see these reservations and problems with Bellerin that everybody else sees. Neil clearly doesn't like him. He's walked off there. He wants him sold.
Neil can't last more than 30 minutes without going to the toilet, so go on, carry on.
He's got a coffee.
Yeah, it's a big cup, Neil. God, Jesus Christ, like you're in Friends. Go on, carry on.
Bellerin, I think it's the anniversary of his debut as well, wasn't it? He come on for Arteta. He played centre mid that game against West Brom when he made his debut. I think that was a League Cup as well. So, no. I've got no problems with Bellerin whatsoever. And, he has still got that little burst, and he's, okay, 9 times out of 10, maybe his cross doesn't come off, but this time it did, and we tucked it in. But you speak about Leno. I just wanted to ask the question: does everyone here think it's confidence? Because I look at it and I think exactly what Neil said earlier, in that he watched Martinez from the sidelines and was like, "Oh crap!" I'm like, maybe my position's under threat. But now he's got it. Now I think he should believe in himself more. But also, I'm not sure if it's because, you say about where he comes up and he doesn't collect. The last time he did that, he got hurt. And I'm worried. And it wasn't as bad as it should have been, but I worry subconsciously in his mind, does he think, if I jump up like that, I'm going to get done again? I don't know. It's a bit like...
the Eduardo factor.
And Ramsey.
Yeah. But it was like Petr Cech, weren't it? Was it Hunt from Reading when he stepped on his head?
Yeah, need him in the end. It's horrible.
Yeah, he was never ever the same sort of... He was still a class keeper, but he was never the level that he was before that injury happened. And I just worry if there's something subconsciously with Leno in his head. But another thing as well is for a German goalkeeper, he's so quiet, Jack. Like, we all had it without... I think everyone here watched it without fan noise. And he's so quiet. And I don't know if it picked up on what you got. I don't know if we all sort of had the same broadcast or whatever. But when Luiz went off injured, it panned the camera to him. And Arteta was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he done that with he was cupping his ear, and he went, "He don't call, boss." He went, "Boss, he don't call." And he didn't tell me that he was behind. And I'm like, he's got playing in defence. Okay, I was never at the level that these Arsenal players are, and I don't ever think I will be. But communication's key. I'm like, if you're not clear and loud enough, because I mean, I'm used to Jens Lehmann, where he's, I don't know if he was yelling 9 or mine, but he come and it was bang at the box. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be a lot more clear and concise with what he's doing, because I think, like in that West Ham game where he did nearly break his neck, Ceballos didn't hear the call, and then David Luiz for this game didn't hear the call. But also when they had that free kick in the second half late, the camera's right on him, and I can't hear him yelling two there. Do you know what I mean? He's just deadpan, or he's doing it behind the glove so that it's obviously muffled or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's confidence, and I'm glad he played, and I'm glad he got a clean sheet, because it is just rough. I thought Arteta might have put Runarsson on for his debut. I was glad he went with Leno, and also it harkens back to that Europa League game when he had in charge against Olympiacos, because he dropped Martinez to put Leno in, and he said, "Yeah, I don't do this cup goalkeeper stuff." So he says, "My goalkeeper's my main goalkeeper." So, obviously Martinez come in for that cup run, But I don't know if he's going to play Leno in every single thing now. I don't know. Maybe if he might go back on that and play.
James, can I sorry,
go on, Neil.
Yeah, just very quickly. I agree with the fact that there may be a thing playing on his mind about the injury. I think you're only human. That's got to play on your mind.
Yeah, of course.
But I just go back to how he was before the injury, and I think it will all come back to him. I wouldn't worry. He must have been commanding the defence in those times when we were so desperate in need of someone good on the pitch. He's the one that came through. It was always him.
He was the last line of defense, Neil.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we didn't the best defender we had when he played.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wouldn't worry, mate. I think you're spot on about this thing niggling in the back of his mind about what happened to him. But I think other than that, just a few more games, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah,
I think the cup was more of a tune-up game for him too.
So
I think.
Big. Like he needs to be,
Anthony,
for want of a better word, faultless. And I still think that he's got that clanger in there. I know he needs it gone because, like I said the other day, he is in one of the three big for this game that we've got on Monday. It's him, Xhaka, and Tierney. They're my three. Where if it goes wrong for either of them three, this game's gone.
And he's probably the one that concerns you the most. Is it? Well, I think it's quite interesting that we're still strongly rumoured to try to get another goalkeeper in, the Brentford number one. Now, that Brentford number one, I think he pulled himself out of the squad day one because he wanted the move. Now, if he wants the move, he's not being told he's just going to sit there. I don't think, or he's certainly being told he can compete. So the argument there is maybe obviously the goalkeeping coaches know something that we don't. Maybe they know how to trigger more out of Leno, or maybe they really do want someone competing with Leno. You know what I mean? So I think, like Neil, like you boys, I want to stick behind Leno. He's been so good for us, even in our toughest times. Now we're becoming a bit more structured, a bit more rigid, conceding less chances. It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with, less work, hopefully, and still being alert, right? But I think Luiz is so vital to that communication factor. He has to play to communicate, because if the goalkeeper isn't, we need our central defender doing that, right? I think Luiz comes straight back in on the Liverpool game. But let's go to the Liverpool game. I mean, can't forget the Saka incident, by the way, in the Leicester game, which he should have got a penalty for. Ridiculous decision, by the way, and I don't know how. Lucky there wasn't any VAR, because it was definite penalty. I was a little bit annoyed, but it's good to see that we, in the past we get annoyed by those things. We let it affect us. We go 1-0 down. We kept playing the same way, kept controlling the game. I thought, and we should have been 2 up at half time, but didn't worry about it. Just went on and won the game. Very, very smooth, very simple. I liked it. Before we get to the transfers, a Liverpool preview. Anthony, I think there's 3 positions in this team that I can't figure out. We always like to talk about the lineups for the games, and maybe it won't. It's going to be a different prospect, Anthony. We've beaten them the last 2 times, but they had the. I think we lucked it out a little bit at the Emirates, maybe, even though it was a weakened side from us, which people like to forget. And then the Community Shield, obviously everyone's coming back into more of a pre-season game, very sort of changeable side. Anthony, what do you think? I mean, I don't think they've lost in 2 years there, or maybe over 2 years at Anfield. I think they only drew 1 game at Anfield last season, which was against Burnley after they won the league title. It's a massive task, Anthony. To go there and get anything would be a brilliant result, I think, to be honest.
I agree. I'm really curious to see what the squad is. I think that's going to tell a lot about who is ready to really, get going this season, because our first 2 matches, we looked a little nervy at points last week, but I think, the first 2 matches, they're not the opponents we have to go against the next few fixtures. So I think this is going to be the real test, and I think this is going to be probably what we're actually going to see as like our kind of quote unquote set first 11 that we'll see going forward. So I really am curious to see if Pepe starts or not. Because he hasn't started yet, right? In the league, not for the 2 fixtures. So, and then where does Willian start? Does he start on the left? Are we starting him in like an attacking mid? I don't know. And then I think Tierney's gonna be back, right? Do we know?
Yeah, I think if the Sandy's back in the training late this week, the intention is to bring him straight back into the team.
I really hope he's good to go.
I think
because if Kolasinac is playing, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, well, I can't believe we're going to start Kolasinac. The argument that's my other position. So the right wing, Mike, you got Pepe, you got Willian, you got Saka. The argument there is Saka is the most on-form player out of those three, right? And I don't think we're going to use Saka at left wing back going away to Anfield. I think it's too. We saw the vulnerability going backwards, right?
Yeah.
So who are you starting in that? I mean, Anthony says he'd be curious about Pepe. That would be my choice. I mean, who would you start there, and who would you push for?
On the right.
Yeah, on the right. And then touch left wing back. Tell me left wing back as well.
Left wing back to do a job. I think it will be Maitland-Niles if Tierney isn't fit. Only because of what he's been asked to do in the last two big games. He's been called upon, obviously in the cup. So yeah, definitely will be Maitland-Niles if Tierney isn't fit. And on the right, I know we had a chat about this before, but I think. Because of the game and because it's, he said today in the press conference, we're going to suffer and we have to suffer together and we have to defend properly like as a unit as we've done. So I can see Willian starting only because he's been around the block. He knows games like this. It's an important game. We've had a good start. We need to get something from this game. It'd be great to get something from this game, I should say. If we lose, it's not the end of the world. But what a boost it would be to get something from this game. James is saying we're going to turn them over, and he's adamant on that. But I think he will go with Willian just to make sure that he's got that structure there and he's got everyone on the same page. And then if we're still in the game in the last 20 minutes, then you put Pepe on and let him roast Robertson and let him get in behind and just have Xhaka and Danny just drop those balls in behind and get him turning. The last 20 minutes. They won't like that. They don't want to do that. We all know Robertson and Trent Alexander. They want to go the other way. They hate going the other side. They're not used to it. So if we're in the position where the game is drawn. Let's go there and just make it first and foremost. Make it hard for us to beat us. Don't make it easy. Don't make it too open at the beginning. Just do what we've done in the last two games against them. Defend properly, organised. Klopp's mentioned it in the press conference today. He's already he's mentioned it. He said he's got us defending properly. And if everyone's defending on the same page, it doesn't matter who you are. It's going to be hard to break it down. So I'll go with Willian on the right and then unload Pepe. The last 20 minutes and let us get that win that James wants, that he's predicted. Nostradamus.
Yeah, I think that's. I'd like to see Pepe because I think he provides a carrying of the ball ability and this risk factor that I don't think Robertson likes it. I don't think sometimes it's about matchups, and I look at Robertson. I think he'd hate to see Pepe. I don't think he likes playing against him. I don't think he knows what he's going to do, and he's always going the other way. And Pepe sometimes just sits up. But I don't think, like you, I think. It's not a coincidence, is it, Mike, that we did really well cup final and then he brought Willian straight in on the right and he wants structure. He wants structure, doesn't he?
But to be fair, Willian is just as devastating in that aspect as well, carrying the ball at speed as well and under control. So there's always with Pepe, you can always sort of think, he's going to maybe just touch it a little bit too far out. He's just going to get bounced off it. You don't get that with Willian. He's so short stature. He's like a bullet, and again, you've seen what he's done for Chelsea in the past. So I would go with Willian just to be, have an old head, big game players. He's done it, been there, done it. Let's just keep it tight, make it hard for them, and then we just open up a little bit in the second half. Yeah.
James, would you? So I'll go to Neil after this. James, would you go Tierney? He's fit. Let's assume he's fit. Be positive. Would you go Tierney left centre back or left wing back?
Left wing back.
This means you would you drop Niles, would you?
Yeah, sadly, yeah. For how good he is, you can't get rid of Gabriel because I think Gabriel with Firmino as well, that Brazilian battle. I think Gabriel's going to look at that. And like Neil said earlier, you want the intimidation, you want the Mike Tyson. I want that stature. I want that presence. I mean, Holding's going to go to all of them in the changing room. You see that Mane there? Leave him, he's mine. And
he loves a battle with Mane, doesn't he?
He said, he'll go, I want him. But he went, the others, do what you like. And he'll go to Tierney, you can have Salah. And Gabby or Luiz, you're both the Brazilian boys. You can have Firmino if you want him. So I believe that. But I'll tell you what, as the man who is top of his fantasy football league, I'd like to arguably say I'm probably the best manager here. And you got to play Saka on the right, boys. We're playing more transitional football, not counter-attacking football. Pepe is a brilliant counter-attacking footballer. He's arguably one of my favourite players in the Arsenal team. I love Nicolas Pepe, but he's not good on the transitions. Saka, I know people keep going on about you talking all these silly stats, 2 pre-assists against West Ham. I'm like, he's got a bit of telepathy, like you said earlier, Neil. Him and Ceballos have got a good link. I think him and Bellerin have a much better link than Pepe and Bellerin have. I think Pepe and Bellerin still ain't really clicked together. And I'm like, Robertson, as much as he'll be scared of Pepe, he was on toast against Saka in the Charity Shield, Community Shield, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, for me, it's got to be Saka, Orba, Laka.
The only argument, I don't disagree with any of the options, to be honest. I'd be fine with all of them. It's just such a dilemma to think about, is that he hasn't really pushed, post-pandemic, he hasn't really pushed for youngsters like Saka in these big games, right? In the semi-final, Saka was away. Final, Saka, I don't think he even got on. It wasn't included in the first 11, was he? So that would be a really big call. But if you can trust any youngster at this moment, it is Saka, isn't it? So I think, and he is the on form, like you said. You put him anywhere on the pitch. Yeah. He's the on form player. He's always in it.
I've got no problems with Willian. If people think that I think Willian's a waste, no, Willian, like Michael just explained, seasoned veteran, big game player, plus the free kicks, the corners. That's another dimension. Especially with like the stature I said, you want a player that can take these corners and everything else. You want the set piece player. So I think it probably will be Willian. But if I had my way, I'd have Saka in there every day of the week.
You'd have Saka, and then you'd have Tierney left wing back and Gabriel left centre back.
Yeah, it's verbiage of speed kills, Jack. I'm like, go for them quick. Get those goals. And then, Klopp said we bought,
get those goals. Look at you. Be 2 or 3 up and then just hold it off.
Yeah.
Go 3 up and then just make some changes at 60.
Hey, I was still a thought in my dad's head and a glint in my mum's eye in 1989. But
Neil's rubbing off on you see.
No one expected us to get 2 goals there, and what happened?
All right, it's Thomas running through the midfield. Neil, if we do Tierney left centre back, left wing back, what it does do, Gabriel's played central for these both 2 games, right? And what we use the left centre back as, if it's Tierney, and we saw the replacement with Kolasinac is almost as a left fullback. He's constantly bombing on that left centre back. Does Gabriel have those capabilities? I don't know it yet. I've not seen enough.
No, not seen enough. It's not seen enough. I mean, I know he's from what we've heard about him, he's quick. He can deliver. He's got the presence. So, I mean, I would, if Tierney's going to be playing, I would have obviously Luiz in the middle, because he's got to be in the middle of the defence. You could have Gabriel on the left, and you've got Holding on the right, and then you've got Bellerin and Tierney as the wing backs. But I think Gabriel will be up for it. I don't know, whatever his role is, he'll be up for it, 100%. We saw how he played on his debut. I was shocked. He hasn't played since March. And look how he did. He was rusty for the first, 10, 15 minutes. And after that, he was possibly man of the match. And you can't expect anything more from a debutant that hasn't ever played in the Premier League and has actually been off for 6 months. So you've got to, for me, those 3 have to be the back 3, have to be. And so, the only thing is I agree with what you said, James, about Niles. It's a bit sad about him because he hasn't really done anything wrong. And he's shown that he can do it in the bigger games as well. But it's a nice dilemma to have, isn't it? We've got all these options. I think we were talking about it on the last couple of pods ago that we've got so many options. Okay, some players are going to have to sacrifice, but that's what we want in a club. We want to have that depth where we can mix and match. And we have what Melvin was asking about, a plan A, B and C. We've got the capability of doing that and switching it if things aren't working. So I don't think there's any issues there. Just interesting on Pepe, though, what Michael was saying, what James was saying, and Willian. I mean, the only thing about Pepe that interests me in this fixture is that he's got previous against Van Dijk, and no one had done that to Van Dijk before. He did what he did and made him look stupid. And I'm just wondering if what you were talking about earlier, James, about this thing being in Leno's mind, the injury, I wonder if there's a little bit of a psychological thing in Van Dijk's mind about Pepe. And you're talking, it'll be interesting if he doesn't feature for me. I think he should feature at some point, whether he comes on as a late sub as you've alluded to. But at some point, I think he could make an impact, whether we're already 3-0 up or whether we need a goal in the dying seconds. He could make the difference. But it's such a close call for me between Pepe and Willian. Really is. Because I think they've both got the pros and cons. It'll be really interesting to see what Arteta goes with.
Bring you on, mate. I'd have you come on, mate. I'll be well.
3-0. You know what? I think we haven't mentioned him yet, but I think Lacazette's going to be key in this game. Do you know what I mean? I think he's going to be really
big
key.
Game player, Jack.
Big game player. And the pressing that he put on. I know it was just they just won the title, but the pressing he put on Van Dijk does not like to be pressed. He doesn't want to be close to anyone. He's a very good defender. I'm not saying he's a fan. I'd love to have him, but when you press him or you throw a ball over the top to him 5 or 6 times a half, right over his head, he doesn't like it. So honestly, if we're going to do a little bit of pressing, trigger on his foot touch. As soon as he touches it, would trigger on him because he does not like it. He's relatively comfortable on the ball, but if you start nudging into him a little bit, he does not like being pressured. He expects to see the whole game in front of him.
Can I just ask all of you? I don't think they don't look as defensively tight as they have done. And I think they're there for the taking at the moment.
They did look
to me, they don't
against Chelsea, but they
did. But look what happened against Leeds.
Yeah.
Look what happened against Leeds.
They always seem to trigger it, though. They always seem to, when they cut. And Thiago is a fantastic signing.
I think if there's any time to play him twice in a week, it's now.
You reckon? Well, I'll take that.
You make a great point because Chelsea, for all of how crap they were, Werner had a brilliant chance, but then they went 2 up on him and he just lost it. Jorginho should have scored the penalty, and Tammy Abraham missed it was a good save as well, but Tammy Abraham should have buried that. And I'm telling you now, if we get 3 cutthroat chances like that, we're scoring 1 or 2 of them. And I believe that.
And also, let's not play down the win at the Emirates. You've got to remember their team. They went for those 100 points. They played their strongest team in that game at the Emirates. And I remember at the time thinking, oh Christ, we're going to get turned over. It's going to be embarrassing. They were going for the 100 points, and we had a few chances in that game as well. So it was, I know we were hanging on a little bit second half, but we opened them up a few times in that game. So let's just we're painting them. Yeah, they won the title, but they were going for it. They didn't drop 6 of their big boys. They played all of them that night. And we did it. Lacazette, was a trigger man. He caused all the problems. So yeah, we need another big one again from him on Monday.
Yeah, tell him to go all out 65 minutes and then get Eddie on. So all out for 65, absolutely, and then switch it and get Eddie on to kick a few people and run them ragged because he just run all day, won't he, Eddie? But let's talk transfers a little bit. Runner Runnison came in for 1.2 million. Obviously, a clear indication that we're trying to sign a backup and not necessarily, unless we go again in the goalkeeper region. But there's not been much talk of that this week. But obviously, everything can change in the next. We got 8 days left of the transfer window, something like that. It's going to start moving now, isn't it? Whether it's after Monday's game or whatever it is, things are going to start happening. Hopefully, outgoings, are going to start happening. Anthony, just a thought, because obviously a lot of stuff's come out on Aouar today and started to come out a bit more reliable in the last hour. Like Fabrizio Romano said, firstly, it's been said by 2 really reliable journalists that he's our number 1 target. So, we spoke about Partey being our number 1 target. It looks like that relationship's very volatile, Anthony, with Atletico Madrid and Lucas Torreira issue. Aouar's more, from what I've seen of Aouar, and there's a couple of Champions League games, to be honest, and a ton of YouTube clips, is he seems to me to be able to play deep. He really seems to me to be a little bit more advanced than Partey, and certainly not as physical, but technically extremely gifted, something that we lack with think about all the technical players we've had, Anthony, with Rosicky and Cazorla and Wilshere and Cesc Fabregas and whatnot. We really lack that now and look to guys like Ceballos to bring that technicality. So what are your thoughts on that? The last thing I just read was that the fee initially was 60 million, but because of the pandemic and the time left in the transfer window, there's a belief that the fee could drop as low as 45 million. What's your thoughts on that player being our primary target as opposed to someone like Thomas Partey?
Yeah, I was kind of with Neil on originally really wanting Partey instead. But if you do take into account the fact that Ceballos is really just a loanee. I mean, we talk about him like he's a permanent signing, and I love everything he does for our club, but he is a Real Madrid player, you know, at the end of the day. So if you take that into account, and B, the fact that he's not a number 10, you know, like we talk about him like he's sometimes like he is, but he's not. Like you say often, he's more of number 8. I think we need a player like that in the squad. I don't know who he replaces, because, and I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago as well, is excuse me, I don't know who he comes in for, but yeah, I would like to have him. I mean, that's a good problem to have, I guess, is trying to figure out where all these players slot in, you know. But we do need we're gonna need a number 10. I don't know what the deal is with, and we can get to that later if you want. If we don't get it at all.
I forgot to mention it. What were your thoughts on Ozil and Guendouzi just being admitted from? Because the journos pushed it, didn't they? You know, they that's all they asked Arteta, and he was probably very frustrated. But this was the one game that if they were going to be included, this was the game. So what were your thoughts there? We've got to remove one of them at least.
I think it's telling. Yeah, I do think it is telling. I don't think Arteta is making as big a deal about it as maybe the media is, but I do think it's telling. I think at least one of them's got to leave. At least one of them has to leave, right? I mean, maybe it's Guendouzi because of his attitude. I don't know. Every picture I see of the training sessions, Ozil looks like he's having a fun time, but maybe that's just because he's getting paid a lot. I don't know. I like the player himself, but I don't know what we do with him from here forward. Like, if he could somehow find a way to get back into this first team, sure, I'm all for it. I just don't see it happening. I don't know.
He's not going anywhere.
Nah, he's not going anywhere, Mike.
I think it's Guendouzi leaving.
The only thing I'd worry about, sorry to jump in at these, is they keep bringing up the homegrown and the non-homegrown quota, and but we're 2 over. And I don't know if it's possible for them to actually deregister Ozil, if that is an option, you know, when it comes down to next week or the week before, a couple of days before, would the club make that option? That's quite massive. But would they make that decision to say they're going to deregister him from that so they can register, one of the other two to come in? You know, I don't know whether that's possible or not, but imagine if they did that, because it doesn't seem like this guy's got a future at all. You know, if he can't feature in the squad for the League Cup, then what are we doing? You know, we're just wasting everyone's time. You know, sorry, I know Hector Bellerin is said that for every match or every game that we win, he's going to plant 3,000 trees. It's just as well, like, you know, there's no newspapers around really anymore, because imagine the amount of, you know, tosh that's been written about Ozil digitally. Imagine if it was in the newspapers, if anyone bought a newspaper. It's ridiculous. I'm just sick of it. The only thing I'll say is in a year's time, it'll be gone, possibly. And that will be it. It'll be done.
Possibly. I love that. Possibly, yeah. Well, yeah. We hope when his contract's up, we hope he's. But yeah, there is an argument. The only argument there is such a boring topic, so I don't like to go too much on it. But because we talk about it so much, Mike. But the only argument there is if we're truly not going to use him, Arteta's going to be asked about him constantly every game. So if we're truly not going to use him, I don't know how it works in terms of terminating a contract. But if you're going to pay that money anyway and not use him, is there an argument that just do it now and pay it over the next 12 months, or pay maybe a little bit less because you allow him to sign somewhere else earlier? I presume that's a factor, right? If you stop someone's contract a year early, say you're going to pay him the money, but they're allowed to sign somewhere earlier, you probably don't have to pay as much. I'm sure that must be in there somewhere. Maybe, yeah. So, and there's also an argument that playing him adds to a certain amount to his wages, but I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's a factor. I just think it's boring, and I'm not sure it does us any good to have a player that's clearly done a lot in the game. Clearly, we're not going to use him, so just have him around. You're going to pay him that money either way. You're not going to use him. Have him around.
You know, you get a good win against Leicester, you get through to the next round of the Cup, and you go on Twitter and you see trending, and the top trending is Ozil.
Yes.
And that's going to be the case every game, no matter what we do. We turn Liverpool over. You know, we beat Liverpool 5-0. Oh, why was it Ozil in the squad? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just going to be there every week. And I think, right, something needs to be done, but I don't know what we're going to do.
Can't see it. Guendouzi's a weird one, because obviously he's a spoiled little git, but he's only on 40 grand a week. He's a French international, or played a lot for the under-21s, and played for or been in the squad for the France squad. He's not
He's their captain, Jack. He's the 21's captain.
It's odd. And then there's been some rumours about him asking for a transfer request, which I always found ironic. I'm like, is there something that made you think we want to keep you, Gwen? What made you think we want to keep you exactly? We're putting literally posters up of you in bus stops, and we can't get rid of you, Gwen. So, like, he comes in for a transfer request. I bet Mikel just starts giggling. Yeah, well, if you could help me, Matteo, because I'm calling some clubs for me, that would help me out. But it's very strange because, like, I always think the ability to be able to get rid of players that are rumoured to be going, like Mustafi and Torreira, etc., is the wage. Like, the wage is so high. Torreira's on 75 grand a week. Mustafi's on 90 grand a week. Socrates 92 grand a week. Kolasinac 100 grand a week. It's the wage. I always look to the wage is too much for the player. But Guendouzi's on 40 grand a week. That's not a lot. So it's a strange one to me. It's one that has to. I think he goes. I know there's nothing being said about it, but I think he still goes this window. I just don't see how we couldn't get rid of him, at least on a loan. It's got to be. But Neil, what's your thoughts? Partey is not the number one target. It's getting quite reliable now that he's not the number one target. So it shows what you know, mate.
I know nothing. Do I? That's why I don't do transfers, Jack. Come on.
No. But we need one. We need one top player. We don't want one of these.
Do you know what? I am devastated if we don't get Partey. I know we talked about the fact that you guys were kind of happy if nothing else happens now. Do you remember we spoke about that? And I tend to agree, but I still think he's. I just think that he's so hit that kind of player. Just for me, completes us. We've said it over and over again. I'm going to say it again. We need him to complete the jigsaw. If we're going to be, playing at the very top and highest level in maybe 2 or 3 seasons, we need a player like that. We just need that missing Vieira-esque player we have not had for so many years. And whether it be Partey or someone very similar, just got to get him, and as soon as possible. I don't want to wait 2 years. And I'm sick of this, he's one for the future if you look at another player. And no. We need to act now. We've done the one for the future for 10 years plus. We need these players now. And I just think that he's an essential player. But I was swayed very slightly, and Anthony made actually a really good point there earlier about Aouar. I know it's Aouar, whatever. He said that Danny's not our player, and that was a good point. So if we do get him, and we didn't get Partey before Anthony said that, I was like, no, Partey he's the first choice. But after what Anthony said, it's kind of tipped the scales a little bit. But I still think we need a Partey player. We do, Jack. We just do.
I think the Aouar player indicates a change in the system at some point.
Yeah,
because he looks like that advanced player that we can't fit into the current system. So it indicates a change in the system is coming earlier than maybe we thought, because we all sort of felt the back three was there to stay with David Luiz being here for a year longer, and that maybe changes things. But the just two things that seem like fact is, one, they want Lucas Torreira, and two, they do not want to consider Lucas Torreira as part of the deal and I agree with the club on that one, to be honest. If they want one of our players and they're not willing to include one of their players who clearly has a release clause that, the club's probably being right and standing their ground in that. But
can I just ask you then, Jack, if I hate tempting fate, but if something happened to one of our players, say Xhaka or someone of that nature, who do we have coming in?
Just Elneny.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So we do need someone there desperately.
Yeah, I do. I agree, because Torreira is clearly, he's not been part of the squads, and he was always part of the squads. He's clearly
No.
We don't know where he's going. And Guendouzi can't even get in the Carabao Cup squad. So at that point, you're thinking Willock, and we've already talked about it in the previous. As much as we might like Willock, he doesn't sit in that two right. He doesn't. He was leaving Elneny a lot in the early portion of that game yesterday. That's why it was, the other day. That's why it was so good to see Elneny hold his position so well, and really contain that midfield so well, because Willock was almost Aaron Ramsey, wasn't he? Going to be the third midfielder going into the box. It's nice to see, but really, in the system that we're playing in, it felt quite uncomfortable, because I was like, well, you're not really supporting your midfield partner at all there, and maybe he was told to do that, I don't know. But let's do predictions before we go for Liverpool away at Anfield. We'll do one after the Monday game, and then I think we play Thursday again, and we might as well just stay down there, mightn't we? Just stay down there and chill out a little bit, be in our bubbled hotel room or whatever it is. But yeah, they were saying it was going to be Wednesday, and then they switched it to Thursday. Mike, what's going on?
That was on Sky. That was on Sky. So you'll be able to watch the League Cup one.
There you go, Neil. You won't have to watch it through your neighbour's window.
Yeah.
There you go. Mike, as you're there, what's your prediction? Go on, Monday, massive game, mate. Anfield. Don't do well there, notoriously.
I'll say 1-1. 1-1. And can't go wrong. You can't go past Aubameyang. So Aubameyang 1-0.
I'd love that all day, to be honest. Neil, go on.
You're take myself off mute first. Right. Sorry, 2-0. 2-0.
To Arsenal.
Of course. Not to him. I'm
See, this is the problem. When we do late Friday night ones, this is the problem, you see, Neil.
2-0. 2-0.
Who's your first goal scorer?
I'll go with... I'm going to back James and I'll back Michael and say Willian.
Willian, free kick maybe, okay. Clean sheet at Anfield.
Whatever,
okay.
Don't care. But clean sheet, yeah, 100%. Gabriel will make sure of it.
Yeah, all right. James, go on.
Yeah, 2-1 Aubameyang.
2-1 Aubameyang.
That is Buxton. That is Buxton. All right.
I've lost the reference. What am I? I'm out of the loop. I feel like Joey.
You said it was late night on a Friday, and some it's.
Oh, that is Buxton. Sorry. Yeah.
Water.
Very good. Very good. Anthony, prediction. It's really positive, to be honest.
I'm going to be a little more realistic here. I don't see us getting the 3 points. I'm going to say 2-2. So 2-2.
All right,
no?
2-2. Yeah,
you don't see us scoring 2? I can see us scoring 2. I could just also see us conceding 2.
It's just very positive.
So.
There's not a lot left for me. Okay,
I'm going to say Aubameyang for score.
Yeah, Aubameyang. That makes yeah. If we're going to get one, yeah. I think we'll get. I mean, let's be honest. We've gone there and been battered for a few years, haven't we? I can't remember the last time we really made a game of it, to be honest. But I think we're going to go and make a game of it. I just think we might get undone. I think they've made a couple of signings. I think they're massively favourites still to win the league. You saw against Chelsea their quality. So I think they might nick it 2-1 against us. But I think we'll give a good game of it. I hope not. I dream of a point. Neil's is ridiculous. I dream of a point, like Mike and Anthony said. But I'll go 2-1. To them, and I'll say Aubameyang grabs our goal, but I'll keep our fingers crossed. You didn't leave me a lot of draws unless we go to a 3-3. I couldn't go more than a draw. It's too positive.
Last time we played them twice in a week, we beat them 3-1 and 6-3.
Oh, was that the Baptista one?
Yeah.
And the other one was they were both cup games, though, weren't they? The other one was the FA Cup, I think. One was the League Cup. Yeah. That was Thierry Henry making Carragher fall on the floor. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Oh, lovely. Good times. Well, yeah, it's a good omen. So Monday night game. Boys, it's been good. Hopefully, if Anthony says I haven't screwed this up, we are on YouTube. Now, I don't know how long for, but, we are on YouTube. So watch this one on YouTube because, you can see all our reactions and stuff, and see how much Neil forgets to turn his mic back on.
And just real quick for the YouTube thing, for anyone listening and wants to watch us on YouTube, so we're going to need at least 100 subscribers to be able to get a custom YouTube URL. So it's going to be just like this long garbled URL it's going to be youtube.com/whatever. So we'll post it, obviously, like Jack will put it on the Twitter and everything. But
we're only posting the YouTube one for a couple of days. Everyone's going to subscribe to that.
So we need 100 subscribers, and then it needs to be 30 days too. So, but hopefully within a month, with everyone's support, we can get that custom URL. It'll be, I'm assuming it'll just be youtube.com/purelyarsenal or whatever Jack wants to make it. But to get that, we do need those subscribers. So even if you're not going to watch it on YouTube, but you want to support the pod,
we'll get those in 2 days.
2 days, yeah, and subscribing's free.
That'll be awesome,
right? Anthony, you just subscribe.
Right? Oh yeah. So if you want to support the pod, like Jack says, we don't really ask for money. So a huge way to support us, even if you don't want to watch on YouTube, just go give us a subscription. And then you could just
ring the notification bell, Anthony, as well.
Yeah, that too. Just so you're notified right when it goes up, right when it's done processing. You'll be able to watch it.
Click the thumbs up on it as well. Click the thumbs up on the old YouTube when you're on this.
Yeah, don't do the minus
all
one.
On YouTube. We're too good looking not to at least post this for a couple of days on YouTube.
I got to make sure my hair is a little nicer next time.
Premium is free.
Me and Mike had a shave. YouTube Premium is free.
It's on a free trial at the moment. So if you want to, have your phone on the other things in the background, but you still want to listen to it. YouTube Premium is free. You can do that with YouTube.
Is it?
Well, it's not free. You get a trial, like you said.
You get a free trial.
It's like a 30-day trial or something.
Which is enough to get our subscription up. So let's do that.
That's enough.
Push for the subscription. That's all we're asking for today, because it's first YouTube. We've been in 4 years, the first ever time we did a video stream. So it's pretty good going if we get it going. Boys, thank you so much. We can stay online if you want, or if you've got to go, you've got to go. But up the Arsenal. Take care.
Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you
Catch
Gunners.
you over the weekend. Yeah? Catch you over the weekend. You're all mental, by the way. You're all mental. No way. They're going to bash us.